Hello everyone, my name is Curtis Phelps and I'm going to be going over the State of Israel for the Week 4 country study assignment. Israel is a unique country in the Middle East owing to its position and the makeup of its people, which is very different from its neighbors, and as such it also has many problems that are unique to it, with a blend of problems that you can expect from other developed countries, particularly in the West, and Middle Eastern problems. So it's a strange blend of concerns for the State of Israel. So just to go over what we're going to be looking at, I'm going to do a brief overview of some demographic factors in the country, followed by some of the concerns that the Israeli economy has, and then moving on to some political concerns, mostly focused on security. I'm going to wrap it up and then have a reference list following that. So for a brief overview for Israel, Israel is on the southeastern shore of the Mediterranean Sea, and it's surrounded by predominantly Arab countries on all sides, including Egypt, Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon, with the Gaza Strip and the West Bank being set aside for a future state for the Palestinian people. If you'll notice on the map, the dotted lines are there predominantly to indicate that those borders aren't set in stone and are subject to further negotiation. Israel has a population of just over 8 million people, although the official count of Israeli citizens is complicated by the fact that there are Israeli settlements in Gaza, in the West Bank, and in the Golan Heights. But the estimates are that there are about 220 Israeli settlers living in those places, with the vast majority of them living in the East Jerusalem area of the West Bank. Hebrew is the official language of the State of Israel, with a mass literacy effort taking hold shortly after the Declaration of Independence, with Arabic spoken by the considerable Arab minority within Israel, and English being the most popular secondary language for all of the population, regardless of ethnicity. Those language divisions are echoed throughout the religious makeup of the country, with the vast majority of the population identifying as Jewish, with a significant Muslim minority. Moving on to the economic concerns of Israel, one of the major problems that the country is facing is income inequality. It seems a bit out of place in talking about economic concerns of the Middle East, but it's become quite a large problem for Israel, and puts it more in the league of Western countries in terms of economic problems. Israel has one of the highest levels of income inequality in the developed world. The list fluctuates from time to time, but it's generally considered right below the United States in terms of income inequality. There is a matter of debate concerning the cause of this, but it appears that the income inequality in Israel is due to an increasing consolidation of wealth among the top 1% of earners in the country, rather than an increase in poor people, regardless of ethnicity. And if Israel continues to stray from the path of more developed economies, it will be difficult to reduce the amount of educated and skilled workers leaving the country. When you take this and you combine it with the problem of service sector and manufacturing sector jobs facing downward wage pressure because of international competition, it creates a major economic problem for the country that will have to be addressed in order to prevent long-term damage to the economy. Another economic problem that Israel is facing is labor participation. Israel is currently facing a problem concerning low labor participation rates among the fastest growing social segments, particularly Arab Israelis. And as we've seen in other countries, particularly Arab countries following the events of the Arab Spring, we've found that those segments of a population that are marginalized by the regime and or are facing socioeconomic problems are the most susceptible to extremist ideology. And so this problem starts out as an economic problem, but could certainly develop into a political one if there were a way for, say, Hamas or other Islamic extremist groups to make inroads into those populations who otherwise might not have a catalyst to act overtly against the Israeli government. Moving on to some of the political concerns that Israel's facing, some of the more tangible threats are the attacks that Israeli forces have faced traditionally throughout its history from its neighbors, but more recently the rocket and terrorist attacks from militant groups such as Hamas and Hezbollah originating from Gaza and Lebanon respectively. This is in addition to the lone wolf, more ISIS-inspired perhaps terrorist attacks from the West Bank, which target security forces but also Israeli civilians. So these are some of the more immediate threats, but again there's the very large, more loosely defined threat, though very evident in the minds of the Israeli government, that of course being the nuclear war with Iran, or the possibility thereof. The Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or more commonly referred to as the Iran deal, is kind of at the forefront of negotiations concerning the Iranian nuclear program, but with the United States involvement in it looking tenuous at best considering the current administration's views on Iran, it can certainly create the potential for concern in Israel and in its neighbors. Iran's nuclear program is, of course, the focal point for this, but Israel's nuclear program is highly secretive. Estimates range from 50 to around 200 in terms of the number of nuclear weapons in their arsenal, though, of course, an exact figure is not public information. Another political concern of Israel's is the situation concerning settlements. So many Israelis live outside the boundaries of the State of Israel in settlements that have been deemed illegal under international law. And this has caused kind of a rift in international politics between the State of Israel and the United States versus the rest of the world as represented in the United Nations, where Israel and the United States consider these settlements to be in accordance with international law, and the rest of the world does not. Israel has, for a long time, accused the International Criminal Court of being biased against it, and cites a general anti-Israeli bias as the reason for opposition to these settlements. Whatever the case, it has certainly had real-world implications for Israel, with the European Union, Israel's largest trading partner, censuring the State of Israel with these illegal settlements cited as the principal cause for that. In conclusion, the economic and political concerns of Israel are highly unique. Israel is neither a Western nor a truly Middle Eastern country in the way that we characterize those groups. On the one hand, as a modernized, technology-driven free market economy, Israel is facing a lot of problems that you would expect to come along with a situation like that, particularly income inequality and issues in managing labor force participation. On the other hand, Israel can't escape the geographic position that it's in, and due to the proximity with its neighbors and the long-standing animosity between Israel's neighbors and itself, it has come to reckon with the security concerns that are inherent in that arrangement. And so when we look at Israel, it's important to remember that no two countries are alike, and even more so, no Arab country in the Middle East is quite like Israel in terms of the demographic makeup, its resources, and the challenges that it faces going forward.